Hello again, this is Bob Ford of Bob Ford's History, Mystery, and Lore. If you're new to this channel, here we dive into all kinds of interesting historical topics, so please like and subscribe. Today, we are talking about Jesse James. Let's get started. How can a quasi-historian named Bob Ford from St. Joseph, Missouri, talk about history without covering Jesse James? Well, it's been easy, because Jesse wasn't a Robin Hood or even a nice guy. He was a murderous, thieving thug caught up in the times. As for the assassin Bob Ford, my namesake, he was a wimp with a gun who wanted to become famous, and he got his wish. I have a poster. It reads, "Reward $2,500, wanted dead or alive. Notorious badman Bob Ford, alias the Dirty Little Coward."
But that dirty little coward who shot Mr. Howard has laid Jesse James in his grave.
Then a picture of Ford, and underneath, for the cold-blooded slaying of Jesse James. This coward is a good-looking young man with dark brown, wavy hair, gray eyes, and a pleasant appearance. He is neat in dress, usually employed as a manager of a saloon. Immediately contact the nearest U.S. Marshal's office for details. I've been asked this 1,000 times, so before we go any further, no, I'm not related. Jesse's another story. Gary Chilcote of the Patey House Museum and Jesse James' home in St. Joseph, where he was murdered, says someone comes in about once a month claiming to be kin to Jesse. Jesse was a product of the violence and turmoil in the mid-1800s involving the divided state Missouri. His parents moved to Clay County, Missouri from Kentucky in the late 40s. They were Southern. There were not many people living in the area, and allegiances were known. Once hostility broke out over how Kansas would enter the Union, free state or slave, young Jesse stayed on the farm near Kearney. In 1861, older brother Frank joined the Missouri State Guard, fighting against the Union and the Federal's oppressive authority over state rights-minded Missouri citizens. After the boy's father abandoned the family and headed to California goldfields, where he soon died, Jesse's mother remarried. Jesse witnessed the decline of law and civility as a band of Yankee lawmen searching for information on Frank tortured and left his new stepfather, Dr. Reuben Samuels, hanging from a tree, but still breathing. Physically affecting this doctor the rest of his life, this and other unprovoked acts filled Jesse with a lifetime of rage and justified to himself the life he was about to lead. Soon, at 16, Jesse left the farm and joined the fight. Bloody Bill Anderson was a cutthroat bushwhacker with his own reasons for despising the Yankees and Jayhawks. The border war between Kansas and Missouri had turned truly ugly, as both sides murdered combatants and civilians while laying waste to towns and homesteads. If you want to learn more about Bloody Bill, we have done a great video about him that you can check out. Unbiased facts and documented happenings in those days are hard to find, but lore is rampant. Published in 1881, the 1,000-page book History of Buchanan County, Missouri, where St. Joseph is located, in which there are only 7 pages dedicated to the Civil War. Very interesting quote in this book. The history of important events which transpired in Buchanan County during the period of the late war would alone fill a large book. At this late date, when the old ship of state is sailing over the smoothest seas of prosperity and the deep wounds and gashes made by the war are being healed by the flight of time, we are unwilling to recall the facts or incidences connected with it. So believing, we shall only allude briefly to some of the general features of the war. 7 pages out of a book with 1,000 pages to cover the Civil War because 20 years later people are still trying to heal makes me want to know what in the world went on in Missouri. In this state it was neighbor against neighbor, and in some families even siblings were on opposite sides. During the war, different farmhouses were known to be safe havens for bushwhackers who could receive food and shelter. Once, good lore has it, Jesse was staying at such a farm receiving food from a distraught woman. Explaining that the bank was foreclosing on her farm and the banker was coming that very day to give notice, Jesse contemplated, gave the woman the money to pay off the farm note, then told her to make sure and get a receipt. Jesse hid in the woods until the carriage with the banker arrived. She paid off the farm, got the receipt, and the banker was predictably robbed by Jesse a short distance away. The James brothers could have certainly been with Quantrell on their murderous raid to Lawrence, Kansas, but it is known that they were involved in the massacre in Centralia, Missouri a year later. As reported, that's when Bloody Bill Anderson and a few men pulled unarmed Yankee soldiers from a train and killed 23 of 24 in cold blood. Jesse is thought to have been in the guerrilla camp just south of town when 147 Green Yankee troops under Army Major Andrew Johnson arrived in town, discovered the bodies. He was incensed and gave chase. Locating the camp, Johnson commanded his men to dismount with their muzzle-loading infield rifles and form a battle line. Anderson ordered his 80 hardened guerrilla fighters with several 6-shooters per man onto their horses to attack. It was over in 3 minutes, with 3 guerrillas killed and 123 Union soldiers mowed down, most slayed while trying to flee. 17-year-old Jesse is said to have been the one that shot Major Johnson in the head, killing him instantly. Much of Jesse's bushwhacking days are full of lore, while his robbing exploits are covered in legend. Join me next time as we dive into Jesse's famous bank robbing adventures. Thank you very much to Rupp Funeral Home for sponsoring this video. They started in St. Joseph in 1939 and have been serving this community faithfully ever since. Thank you, Rupp. Thank you all for watching. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe. I'll be bringing you part 2 and 3 of Jesse's story very soon, so please look forward to those. Also consider becoming a patron for more exclusive historical content. All my videos go up there several days early. Becoming a patron is truly the best way to support the channel. Comment below what historical topic you'd like me to cover next. You can find my podcast for Bob Ford's History, Mystery, and Lore linked below. See you next time. The Real Bob Ford out.